I think the easiest way to start this is to go back to when I initially met my husband. Is that okay?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I met him in high school. I've been with him almost 20 years. We went to prom together. And we married really young, and we spent the first 10 years of our marriage working, playing. We went to all kinds of sporting events and just had a really easy, fun life. And we talked about kids, and then one day I didn't feel so well, and I realized that I was probably pregnant. We went to the doctor together, and the OB/GYN said, well, let's just see what's in there. And there were 2 heartbeats. And I thought, oh geez. Okay, so life's changed that moment. If I'm going to tell my story about having 2 special needs kids, and I'm going to be candid, I may get emotional through this because it's personal. When James and Andrew were small, I don't have any other kids. So I didn't know what to look for as far as what was appropriate benchmarks for behavior and skills for children of their age. They're twins, they're probably identical, they're boys. There were a lot of reasons why I could come up with excuses for why things weren't happening the way they were supposed to, the way that that I was told that they needed to develop to be with their peers. It was not obvious to me until preschool that we had a problem. Actually, we had some challenges. My kids didn't interact with anybody. They didn't know how to play with the toys. They were in the corner. They didn't know how to sit in a chair, how to eat in a strange room. They didn't have language. They looked around and couldn't make eye contact. I knew that one of them in particular couldn't make eye contact, but I thought it was just them not listening to me. I didn't understand that that was really something that I needed to pay attention to. At their 3-month checkup, I remember the pediatrician looking at me and thinking, well, I'm going to ask them some questions because they're not responding to the questions that I'm asking them that they should be able to at this age. The pediatrician suggested that I get them tested, and I called my mom on the way home saying, I don't understand what this is. Where do I get tested? And she suggested that we go to Northwest Regional. And that is where our story begins with ECI. I believe it was October. I drove the kids out early in the morning to Hillsborough to get them tested, and I thought that we'd have a few, issues, but I didn't think that this was going to be something that I was going to have to worry about, and they were going to tell us that, well, they're twins, they're boys, they'll outgrow this, there's some things you can probably do to improve this. They're delayed because they were preemies. I got to be in the room with the testing, and I was really devastated because they couldn't answer the questions. And I wanted to step in and ask it a different way so that they could understand what they were meaning, or do it for them in a way that I knew I could enable them to get further to the answer. And it was that moment when I thought, we're going to need some help. For me, it reminded me that it doesn't matter how much money I throw at my kids, at a team of professionals that are going to help them with their challenges. It doesn't matter how hard my kids work to learn the skills and to get better. I can't fix this for them. And that's hard to come to grips with. So I spent most of the next 2 years taking one child to early intervention in the morning, the other one I drive back home. We would work on games and strategies and skills. Then I would drive the other one back while my mother would make them lunch, and the other one would come home and we would work with them on games and strategies and skills. And they improved. They did. They really built their skills, and they're happy, nurtured, well-adjusted kids. And they loved early intervention. They loved their teachers. They talked about them. They did better at their co-op preschool with more of the mainstream kids because they had got to practice how to build social skills and how to follow routines and where to put our coat in a cubby and how to play with toys and how to do it independently. Because one of the unique challenges of having twins is that they're extremely codependent and they want to be together. And so trying to break them apart and send them to separate classes, which early intervention accommodated us and gave them 2 separate classes to go to, was huge. It really made a difference. We also have very specific interests that go with their, I guess, brand of ASD. So James and Andrew were both very interested in firemen, which is not uncommon for their age, 3 to 4. But we dressed in costume every day. Boots, they made jewelry that they wore. It looked like tribal wear. They had 2 hats. They wore several hats at once. That was important. I think that they had a sensory thing where they needed something on their head, and the more the better. And early intervention accommodated that. They said, okay, well, be who you are. And then as they built their skills and became more comfortable with their environment, they challenged them, and their OT in particular stepped in and said, okay, we're going to start scaling back on the costumes and understanding that we have to compartmentalize that for this is playtime and this is work time. Early intervention also helped us with behavior modification. Behavior modification for them is they basically have an incentive and they have something to lose, and they make their choices in between. And the verbiage that we use at home is, are we making a good choice or a bad choice? And they don't really understand timeout for themselves and sitting in a space, for a certain number of time. So their costumes go into timeout. And that became actually an incentive for them. So if things went well in class, they could put on their costumes, and that was waiting for them at the end of the day. Something to look forward to. That hasn't changed. They are obsessed with Star Wars, and we wear Star Wars costumes every day as often as we can. We wear them to church, we wear them to the grocery store, but that's their free time. That's their time, and they've earned the right to dress how they like and be who they are. But when they're working in occupational therapy, speech, if they're at school, whatever their job is, they need to be focused and ready to learn and work, and they have to take time out. And wear their clothes for working, and they have to set aside their costumes for play. I remember I took a parenting class, ABC parenting, through early intervention. It was held over, I believe, at one of the elementary schools in the area. It was excellent. I mean, really, what I learned from that was fantastic. I won from the people that were in there. I learned that when I become exasperated, and I would be really embarrassed if somebody filmed me during the day when I'm exasperated, because the things I say and do are probably not what I want people to know, because this is hard. This is really hard. It seems that everybody else in that room had the same challenges and experiences. The literature that they sent home, the books that we worked from, were better than the parenting books that I was reading myself. They were really good. Positive reinforcement, also how to tell my kids that I love them, how to not have contingencies, ways to use incentives. These were all really valuable, and I wasn't expecting to get that from the parenting class. I was very pleased and very grateful. I also made close connections with the people there. The people that started on our team to help us get James and Andrew where they need to be, because now we are in kindergarten in a mainstream elementary school full days. We're okay, we're hanging in there. and they're progressing. They're really doing well. The people that stayed on our team and worked hard for us will remain with us. They get to be part of the family. So our OT, our speech path, the kids' classroom teachers, their assistants, the ladies that work at the front desk, the principal of the Tualatin Early Intervention. They are our friends, they are important, and they will be with us as long as they're willing. As you can see, I'm really grateful and I'm very emotional about this because what I thought was going to be their world was so much better. I think the people at Early Intervention really love my kids. That was great because I get told a lot, I couldn't do what you do. I can't imagine having kids with those kind of challenges and doing what you do. And I appreciate the support and I appreciate what they're trying to say, but you hear that enough and what it sounds like is, you know, your kids are so hard, they're unlovable, and I'm so glad you can do it. It's not what they mean, but there's an underlying message that I hear, and I hear it often. And that is not a message I heard from anybody that worked in early intervention or the parents that have the special needs kids either, because they know. Yes, it's challenging, but it's a journey. And it's different than what I thought, but it's great. I wouldn't change it. I want them to be independent. I want them to know who they are. I want them to be able to succeed with their peer group, whatever that looks like. And I want them to have a place in this world that is positive and valued and necessary. And this is important. You need this to start the journey to get there.